Thank you so much for being with us on a Tuesday night. Once again, on behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'm Ken Marangolo. He's Kevin Ricca.
Nice to be here on a Tuesday night, dealing with our little tad bit of reality. It's all right. We got a lot of football to play, gentlemen. A lot of stuff to watch, a lot of stuff to keep on our eye on.
He is Tim Strachan. Oh, you know what? That's just a technical difficulty, but I'll solve that right now. He's Tim Strachan.
You got the button right, or is it on my
I
end?
got the
I'm having difficulties. If you can hear it, hey, might not be a victory Tuesday, but you know what? There's still, for a third week in a row, no turd talk in Washington. I think we still have a lot of positive things to talk about, but realistically, know that this team right here still has a long way to go.
Without a doubt. Thank God it's Tuesday. Not a victory Tuesday, as Tim Strachan said, but a victorious frame of mind on this Tuesday night. Part of the reason for that is the show we just finished up, the WCAC show. As most of you who are watching tonight know, we do cover all Washington, D.C. sports, including the greatest high school sports conference in the land. Please do us a favor. Click on the First Amendment Sports subscription. It's free. We do other things besides just talk Washington football. And I got to be honest, it's fun stuff. We had an awesome conversation with a college coach named Marty Favre. It goes all the way back to high school for all of us. He's been coaching in college for 21 years. Knows Ryan Silverfield very well, another guest that we had on this show not too long ago, who was Antonio Gibson's college coach. Coach this guy right here, coached with this guy right here. And if you like talking football, like talking sports, in these COVID.
Like talking trash.
If you like talking trash. If you like joning. Anyone want to get their joning in on a Tuesday night, join us for first, second, and third shows of the evening. Without further ado, we want to welcome in all of our good friends over at Hogs Haven, as we are the official Washington football team podcast of Hogs Haven. And I would like to I'm kind of refitting my optimistic hat. I had an awesome talk with my dad today, and he said, I read your six-pack, and it seems like you're coming out of the funk a little, the Dan Snyder funk, the vitriol and venom that you've had for him for so long. And I still have those things for Dan Snyder, but I'm not letting them get in the way that they have. And I've said my piece, and I don't need to do it every Monday and every Tuesday. There's better, more positive ways for us to spend our time and our lives, but most importantly, our Tuesdays. And so I just want to kick things off with what I thought was my takeaway from the weekend and where I'm at in week 2.5, and that is this is what we thought it was going to be. This is the Ron Rivera evaluation year. This is our opportunity to let an honest-to-God head coach, CEO football type who has nothing but good positive history in this league, who has nothing but respect from players and coaches that anyone he's ever met, to delve into every nook and cranny of this organization and decide for himself what stays, what goes, what's good, what's bad, what we're going to run with, what we're going to leave behind. And you don't find that out in 2 weeks, guys. This is a full season rebuild, and we should be thankful for the blessing, really, ultimately, that this global scenario has given the football team. And I'm not trying to make light of a global pandemic, but this is an opportunity for a terrible, 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 terrible organization to look inward without the disaster of the fishbowl that is Washington D.C. In the best of times. And it's going to take a while, and it's going to take a whole season, and there's good parts and there's going to be bad parts, but I guess, and I'll kick it out to you guys. I think it's a different brand of ugly, and it's a brand of ugly that we should be welcoming. Maybe I'll let it go there.
Ken, I like to say my perspective involving expectations versus reality. And I never came into this season. In fact, I mentioned it. I felt a little sad mentioning it, but it's the reality of the situation. I never thought, even though the NFL is a crazy league, year in, year out, we do not have the horses to compete as a playoff team this year. Could we get to the playoffs? Maybe. I'm just saying there's no chance we're on the level. This should be a time for us to just watch and take in every week. And that's just my perspective. I'm not telling anyone else to do it, and I don't disagree with anyone else. I went through every one of Dwayne Haskins' throws for the last 2 weeks. That's great, blah, blah, blah. I have a different perspective than maybe someone that just demands the Redskins win. Yeah. And can I argue with that guy and say that Dwayne Haskins played great? Absolutely not. If you want to have that perspective, you can write that all day long on Twitter. You can be that guy. That's fine. To each their own. But I see Dwayne Haskins as like this close. But we'll get to that. I just want to say my perspective on the expectations. I think there's one stat I'm going to throw out there for me. Ken, I went back old school style, and I just took a look at it. Tom Brady started 283 games for the Patriots. Right now, 26 Washington Redskins on the offensive side of the ball have started a grand total of 273 games for the Redskins. That has to equate to something, especially my final number is the day before the 1992 Super Bowl, our final great day of football. That starting offense of 25 men had 1,066 starts under their belt. That's what we're aspiring to. That's what my perspective is. So I'm not getting all banged up. I'm also not telling you not to. I'm going to enjoy this season. And guess what? Ron Rivera stole one out of the clutches last week to exceed expectations heading into Arizona. And T-Strack and Kyler Murray is a bad man.
Yeah, he proved that. He's an incredible athlete. And he has such command of the offense already. And a lot of that is just his command of his athleticism. When you think you've got him, he's got a way to get out. I mean, it was really, really impressive. And the Skins got to do a better job because they're going to see some more athletic quarterbacks here coming up real soon. So, but overall, I think it's perspective. You used that word, Kevin. It's definitely perspective, whatever your perspective is. I love the phrase a different kind of ugly, although I don't even think it's all that ugly yet. It could get ugly, but I like Kevin, I see, and like you said, Kevin, Ken as well, in the six-pack, there's the difference is Ron Rivera. There's no doubt about it. And not just as a head coach, but the guy in charge. And that is absolutely one of the clearest things that I see right now. So that's why I feel bad even saying it's a different kind of ugly. Because there's a lot of silver lining right now in the way that things are going. And I agree with you, Kevin. Dwayne's going to get this together. It just takes time. I mean, the pro game's completely different. He had really 1 year in college, and that's not a knock on Dwayne. It's just a process. And Ron Rivera's a process guy. And with the work that Dwayne has put in on his body and all that, and what we hear, is him getting his nose in the book and understanding this offense. I mean, if he's approaching it like the pro that we think he is, he'll get it together. It's going to take some time, though.
We've seen what bad quarterback play looks like. There's different brands of bad quarterback play. There's the kind of quarterback play that loses games for you, that you can't possibly win with. We've had a lot of those guys. I mean, a laundry list of those guys.
Like Rex Chapman, who got to a Super Bowl.
What's that?
Out loud. Like Rex Chapman, who even got to
Rex
a Super
Grossman.
Bowl.
Sexy
Rexy.
Chapman ain't that sexy.
He's pretty sexy.
I got the Twitter on my brain.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, like sucky quarterbacks are you can slice them into different categories. The kinds that have 50 or below quarterback ratings, the kind that throw multiple turnovers, the kind that are clearly not progressing from one to the next to the next to the next, that are afraid to step up in the pocket. The things that Dwayne Haskins did on Sunday and the things that he's done in the first 2 weeks of the season don't fall into that category. I understand that he hasn't technically won any games for us yet, this season, but he's not losing the games. He's made a couple bad throws. He didn't turn the ball over. You watched him progress. I mean, you could see his head going from the left side to the right side. You could see a quick trigger once he found what he was looking for, 3 or 4 progressions deep, into what he was looking. And he didn't, he got back up after getting hit, like these are things that so many bad quarterbacks don't do. They compound bad decisions by throwing into places where you can't possibly succeed. So Dwayne Haskins, while not blowing anyone's skirt up yet with his NFL abilities, he's not losing games for us, and he's showing you the kind of things that you can ultimately win with if he gets better at those things.
I agree. I agree immensely. I understand. This is the NFL. There's going to be criticism. It's rightly deserved. That's fair. What I see is this future of ours that we care about so much, including Ron Rivera and a bunch of other young players. 25 different players on the opening day roster versus last year's roster, not including the special teams guys. And there's no doubt about it. You can see he's right there. You can see how much he's worked in the offseason on the films, on his body, on the leadership with the C in his chest, and I think he's getting closer and closer. And I'm making zero excuses. I am not. But if we wanted to accelerate this process, we would have added a couple more weapons. That would be more fair ability for the fans and the front office to criticize him. I don't think they want to sit there and take a peek at Dwayne Haskins. I think Ron Rivera knows what he wants, and they're going to get on the same page to fast-track this thing for the future. Get it done right now. And that's what I'm seeing. He said Dwayne gets a little too pumped up because he sees what he wants to do. Now it's about that body and having the footwork and the shoulder squared the right way. You saw a couple times, T and Ken, he did that little freakish strong arm flick. And that's going to be something that he will evolve to. That's the old Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Off a different plane, the ability to throw that little dart on the unders, that to me, that's different level. Now he's got to get there, but I see him so close, and we could rip him apart all season. And that's fine, and he's going to earn that. But I see where he's headed. I believe personally, watching him, he's on the right track every which way, and we'll see. He's going to have stinkers. This offense has 5 guys that have 26 that have started multiple games for us. I'm not sure what we expected with legit, aside from McLaurin, no proven weapons, and an average O-line at best. So, and that's not an excuse for Haskins, D. That's just the reality.
The gorilla in the room is the offensive line. Let's just be right to it. That is the biggest problem, and it just got worse with Sheriff going to be out 3 to 5 weeks. So, that's a problem. That is not going to help a young quarterback, learn on the fly. However, in both of the last 2 games, the progression, you saw it even in game. You saw it in game. It was a slow start. He's a little bit off, wasn't consistent, and then he started kind of catching on. People want to say he's kind of a streaky player. I guess I get it. I understand that. It makes more sense maybe in a basketball, comparison. But what it shows me is he can do it. Now, what he needs to do is just do it more consistently. And he knows that. Everybody knows that. You're always going to have the Washington football fan that on every single loss, no matter what, is going to say, the winner's coming, right? So
another Game of Thrones reference?
And that's allowed. But I see a lot of good stuff to work with, and it's going to take a while. And that's going to be hard to take. And there's going to be some losses that we don't like. But we already had a win that we never thought we were going to get in the first place. So, there's a lot to be thankful for. And the defense is great. Did they play great this past week? No, but they were on the field a lot. And that's not all their fault. You can't be on the field for that long and expect to hold a team under 24 points.
Those
they
turnovers.
End up with 27?
The turnovers early in the game, T. Yeah. I mean, when our defense did get off the field and we gave the ball right back.
Landon Collins made the best plays made as a Redskin.
Yeah.
And then we cough it up a second later. That kills us. This team can't overcome that weekly. It can't. We can't turn the ball over. We can't. If we want to finish 500, we're in big trouble, especially after a takeaway in the red zone. That was a gut punch. But you know what? It's who we are this year, fellas.
Well, let me ask you guys this. This is coming from the board. Greg Martin, he's been saying this. I heard him. He was really pushing this idea that we were less conservative in the second half. Probably game situation dictated, but the idea that you would adopt more of that philosophy out of the gate, or that scheme out of the gate. Do you guys see that?
You've got to get a young quarterback confidence early, get him a couple easy throws. It's like taking that first hit. You know, you complete that first pass or you take that first hit. Now the game started, you know. And if Haskins is as super hyped up as Rivera says, trust me, I feel that. A young quarterback needs to be taken care of early. Let him get started, but not the whole first half. I understand what we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to get our run game started. And once again, I don't think we have that kick-ass O-line that's just going to mash people. We're going to have to use every inch of the field, east, west, north, south, and be very sneaky in our run game to gain positive yards.
Well, yeah, Kevin, you should know this as a quarterback because I can remember it even like it was yesterday. Once you make that first completion, you kind of get a different feel. Things feel a little bit differently. You kind of get that visual and the feel with your body and how it all works, and then it starts to click, right? Even at this level, for a guy like Haskins, who hasn't had a whole lot of experience yet, still needs probably more time than a Tom Brady. But we even saw Tom Brady week one get a little too hyped up and not necessarily be on target every play like we're used to. So just imagine how hard it is at that level without the experience that Dwayne Haskins has. But he has the ability. He's shown it.
Well, and the least amount of time to throw the ball in 2 weeks in the NFL of any NFL quarterback. Anything over 2.1 seconds is a disaster.
He's under pressure, under duress. I want to have this argument now because
here we go.
Greg, you keep saying I think you're married to a position you took in the preseason, and he's just so anti-Antonio Gibson, and I don't understand it. He thought we were trying to force the ball to Gibson in the first half, and I just don't agree at all. He is one of our best offensive players, and he is under the same duress as Haskins in terms of the offensive line not being where we need it to be, not having the believability. I mean, you can throw the ball to Logan Thomas all you want, but you're not convincing a defensive coordinator to change too much of what they're doing. Antonio Gibson was facing a lot of bodies in the box. I'd like to see him throw it to him more. I'm actually a little bit surprised that they're not, but
Rivera said a lot of it had to do with the blitz pickup and protection, and that's part of the game. Arizona came super aggressive. You got McKissick and you got Gibson in there, an undersized guy and a rookie. You're going to bring the heat, especially when you got players on the edge, and that's what they did, and then took those guys out of it and didn't let Dwayne have a chance to throw it. But let me just say one thing when you talk about Logan Thomas and we're talking about weapons, real quick, T and Ken, McLaurin and Steven Sims had 15 targets. They averaged 12 yards per target.
Yep.
My problem isn't Logan Thomas. I don't think he had a good game.
No.
I think he's going to be a good player, and he showed it last week. Dontrell Inman, to me, is that hurts. So the targets to Dontrell Inman and Logan Thomas were 14 as opposed to 15, where those guys averaged 12. These guys averaged 3 yards a target. That is disastrous. I'm going to call Dontrell the number 2, even though he hasn't started yet. Steven Sims is our number 2, but he's a slot. We need some help right there.
Yep.
We need some help right there. Dontrell Inman is on his 9th team in 10 years. I'm sure he's a nice man. He will not be part of the future.
He's a warm body.
It's what it is.
We've had a lot of warm bodies at wide receiver.
It was either him or Amari Cooper for $110 million. That's the fall off.
Yeah.
And you know what? You get what you buy.
No, you're right. Look, I'm in favor of McKissick getting more carries. Honestly, I think the guy runs extremely hard. He's been effective. We need to find a way maybe to get both McKissick and Gibson on the field at the same time. And maybe Gibson can be more involved in that passing game, as you were saying, Ken. But look, who am I? Turner is probably going to figure it out. But I do think there's a question mark on whether Gibson can be an all-down back. I just don't know if his ability to be a ball carrier is there. There's been
Ooh.
flashes. I just don't know about his durability.
Well, I mean, no one knows about his durability. That's
Well, he
fair.
hasn't run the ball
But
much.
I
As you said,
love what he
he
looks like
wasn't
with the
he
ball in
wasn't a,
hand.
he wasn't a go-to back.
Yeah, but that's because he was a JUCO transfer. Ron Silverfield said it to us. He made a mistake not handing the ball off to him more often. He also had two other NFL running backs in that stable. That was just a matter of, but, it is the truth. We don't know. He's had a year and a half of college football and 2 NFL games. But
Yeah,
that
and
man's
you got
athleticism with the ball in hand is different. His ability,
and if we're
he
gonna,
made a couple guys miss in the backfield to go gain positive yards.
Yeah.
We haven't had a back do that in quite a while. I haven't seen it. Peterson on a
and if
jump
we're
cut, maybe.
yeah, and if we're gonna say it about Haskins, you have to say it about Gibson too. He's a rookie. It's his second game
Yeah, but
at the pro level. So there's the quarterback isn't the only one that has to figure out timing and speed
right.
and how it all comes together. And they're all working together with a not very good line. That's going to be patchwork at best going forward for a few weeks. So that's hard to do. That's really hard to do. We can be real critical because they're professionals, but there are flashes of good things happening. I agree with you on Logan Thomas. I think he's going to be okay. He's not going to be, an all-pro, but he's better than what I thought he was before the season started. So, yeah, he had a bad game. I thought Dwayne put a couple balls where he should have come up with it, and hopefully,
Me too.
in the future, he will.
I think you're right.
I think for Scott Turner's offense to be really successful, the tight end has to be a threat. You can talk all you want about Christian McCaffrey and Cam Newton, but they always had a tight end in Greg Olson, and they had other guys too who were able to make the defense.
Steve Smith.
Yeah, on the outside, but I'm just saying.
It's nice to have guys.
It's nice to have guys. I love our guy Terry. But I
Or, he's the
badass.
guy. He's our guy. There's
He's
no
our
doubt
guy.
about it. He is a one dude.
But when you talk about our offensive line issues, I do start to lump the tight end in with that. You look at before we go over on the defensive side of the ball. We talk about this being an evaluation year, so let's talk about it as an evaluation year. Resources this next offseason must be spent all along the offensive line and inclusive of the tight end. I would love to see free agent money being spent on the offensive line. I have no problem whatsoever. I think we have to spend draft resources at wide receiver because I don't know that we can spend $100 million on a wide receiver and still get 1 or 2 starting offensive linemen. A wide receiver and a tight end in the top 3 or 4 rounds, to me, has a chance. The last thing I'll say about our offensive side of the ball, we did see Gandy Golden get on the field and get his first catch. I'm interested to understand about the manner in which he's being worked in because it's so obvious that we have a talent deficit at wide receiver. What it'll take for him to climb over Inman, who again is a professional warm body, and he has to. Like for us to be successful, Gandy Golden has to elevate himself over Inman on the depth chart. I don't know if that can he do that.
It ain't happening this year.
It's not happening this year. Okay.
Well, this is a total. I don't know a damn thing, but I know that when we drafted him, it was with the understanding that he was as raw could be, and coming from a bit of a lower Division I level where he just ran hitches and fade. He was like DK Metcalf at Liberty. Mm-hmm. They asked him to run hitch, stop, or fade, and it was all linear, and they didn't get into the route tree. He is seeing a whole new world, and it's moving real fast right now. I think he's going to be able to help us. I just don't think it's going to be this year, but you know what? Perspective of expectations. Maybe he comes along. Maybe he gets healthy and does something. That sure would be sweet. And I'm not just ripping on Dontrell Inman. It's more so a lack of having someone else having to have Dontrell Inman out there. But, hey, man, that's what it is.
We're lucky to have Dontrell Inman if we're being
We're lucky to be playing
honest.
Football.
Yes.
That's how I'm looking at it also. Every Sunday, the game's on TV, I'm relaxed. I'm like, well, I got this one. We got 3 more hours.
And we have a lot of offensive linemen who are going to get time now that haven't seen a lot of time either on the field at all or next to the guy that they're going to be playing with this week. So there are a lot of names on the backs of jerseys on the field on Sunday for the Washington football team that will be, again, famous Mike Shanahan words, evaluation mode time for those guys. Because that there's some upside possibilities on our offensive line in-house. I don't know that they're there at wide receiver or tight end. And I don't know that we can get away totally without upgrading our offensive line with either top free agent or top draft talent. But there's some guys that we have in-house who, with an opportunity and reps, could easily become starting offensive linemen in this league. You just got to put them next to – I mean, I don't want to be anti-Morgan Moses, but I'm just not, like, extremely inspired by – his play lately.
I was shocked by this. T and Ken, Morgan Moses has started 82 straight games. He started every game since 2015 and not missed a start. He's battled injury. He's been a warrior. He got his contract. He's the lead guy now with Sheriff out, and I don't know. We've never really talked about this guy in this show at length. I don't really know how you evaluate a right tackle week 2 that we haven't talked about for 5 years. I just don't know about him.
He's a right tackle. He does what right tackles do. You're not supposed to hear much about your right tackle when your left tackle is an all-pro like we used to have, and then Sheriff comes in there and does what he does. Your right tackle is just supposed to – he's not supposed to be in the conversation. He's supposed to do his job. If he was in the conversation, it was because some mistakes like penalties has always been a little bit of a problem with him.
It has.
However, when you don't have somebody on the other side that takes a lot of the heat for being as good as they were, right now the heat's on him because he's our best guy.
Yeah.
And when he's our best guy, sorry, don't mean to be too critical, but that's not great. And that's why our line is in the shape that it's in right now.
And he looks – I think a lot of right tackles are going to look pretty damn good playing next to Brandon Sheriff. And that's not a knock on Morgan Moses as much as it's credit to Brandon Sheriff. I mean, he makes guys look good. And T, keeping up with your Game of Thrones reference streak, I think that Morgan Moses has been nicknamed Hodor for his holding holding penalties. I don't think it was Robert Cohen or Eric Anderson, one of those two.
Well, I'm going to show him some love because he's got the most starts of anyone in the offense by far, and his streak is worthy of a thank you for your service.
Yep.
And I appreciate your durability.
I don't mean that to be a huge knock on him necessarily. He's just, if you're a really great lineman, you're usually on the left side, right? If you're a professional lineman, you're on the right. Unfortunately for him, he is our best lineman, which is why people are focusing in on him right now.
Well,
he's going to be critiqued more because of the lack of play. He's the pro. He needs guys like Sheriff. He needs guys like Trent Williams or close to it in order to do his job effectively.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's move over to the defensive side of the ball, which will be a little bit more fun to talk with. We do have the league leader in sacks, Chase Young, pride of the WCAC, just destroying it. I'll tell you what, I love he's being credited with 2.5 sacks. I have him down for 3. I can't wait till that turns into a real serious discrepancy over the years, because at this pace he's going to catch Dexter in his rookie contract. But the thing about Chase that I woke up the next day remembering more than his sack was the last play of the first half. So the Cardinals get the ball back with like one play to go, and they hand it off to either I don't know, Chase Evans or Kenyon Drake, who I have no idea who it was. They didn't block Chase Young, and he demolished the running back for the last play of the first half. That was awesome.
So angry.
So that to me, that play, I can live on that play. I can subsist. It's like sustenance to me. Watching him play that way on that one play. Everything was going wrong for us. Everything. The game was slipping away from us. We were about to go into the half totally dejected and demoralized. Maybe to some level we still were. But the last play of the first half, the thing that we went into the locker room was with Chase Young destroying a guy. To me, that's something we could build on and around. You're
That
getting red just thinking about it.
I'm gonna let T go first. He gets the math of props. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, look, he's been unbelievable. He's been everything that everybody said he was going to be. We got to remember, he too is just a rookie, though. We can't just rely that he's going to be, the superstar that he's been. I told my girl, this is how I think this is what a definition of a generational talent is. I told my girls in week 1, if you are physically watching the game when Chase Young sacks the quarterback, you get a treat. They sat on these couches and watched the entire game, not just the defensive side of the ball. One of my girl's friends texted her or tried to call her on her device, and she turned to her sister and said, "Can you just let her know I'll call her when the game's over?" He had them tuned into this game. I paid it forward this week. We went to Red Rooster and got chicken before the game.
Nice.
But the girl still watched every single play. That's what he does, and we got to remember he's just a rookie, but he's everything that's been built. I was personally more impressed with where our linebackers played a little bit more this week than week 1. That was a big surprise to me.
Well, I'm not getting away from Chase just yet, because my favorite thing about Chase is the chase. He gets such penetration to the backfield, but I think he plays above his years. He has the best eyes. When you see him put the brakes on, retrace, and head downfield and make plays, and he's done it so often in 2 weeks. But maybe it's 3 or 4 times, but the speed in which he makes the turn, the fluidity of the athlete, and the force he goes and retraces when he gets the man down, he's going to hurt somebody. I love the chase. I'm going to tell you right now, in my 2 weeks, I believe that as of right now, I would say that he was the best football player on our team. And that's how I feel. That's how I felt before the draft, when people were talking about we should trade this, that, and the other and package it up. We have other stuff. And I said, no, let's have this guy for 10 years. We have a dude right now that we haven't had maybe ever. I can't wait to tune in on Sunday to watch him. Just him.
Yeah, and the other Chase comment I'll have, because by the end of the game, it seemed that they were scheming up the fact that he was going to get 5 yards deep off the snap, and they ran past him a couple times. I don't even know how you tell Chase, but don't get 5 yards deep. He was beating the offensive lineman like a drum, and they were using that to their advantage, or at least Kyler was. Not every quarterback can do what Kyler Murray does.
Sure.
As soon as he saw Chase Young make the corner, he was gone.
I'm not saying he's better than all these quarterbacks.
Yep.
There's nothing like him. I've seen nothing like him. He is. Tony Gonzalez called him Mighty Mouse. It's. I don't know if he hates that, but he's everywhere. He's ridiculous. You can't hit him. You can't get a clean lick on him. You can't get a good shot in on him. He's. I never thought he'd be this good. I really didn't. But what I saw Sunday, he's going to do that to everybody. And people are right to say he'll be the MVP at the half point. Why wouldn't he be?
Yeah.
He's got DeAndre Hopkins. That's a tandem that should scare the shit out of everybody. I thought our guys handled him okay, but he wore us out, no doubt.
And a guy named Larry Fitzgerald who's not so bad.
Oh, how about, Hopkins had 9 targets. Fitzgerald had 7. That was 15 receptions. Remember DeAndre Hopkins dropping that slant? And they said he's never dropped one in like 4 years. So essentially, if you throw it to one of those guys, it's a complete pass, and at the end of the day, they get over 250 yards. Pretty nice to have. And then the other 2 knuckleheads that caught bombs on us, Kirk and Isabella, they both had 50-yard catches. At that point, Kyler Murray's going to rush for 70 yards and throw for 270. Well, that defense is in trouble. I don't care who you are.
Safeties.
Talking about the safeties. All right, so we're going to get there because everyone on the board is talking about Troy Apke. My take on Troy Apke on Monday morning was in line with everything else I've been saying about this team, and that is we're not giving up on anybody in week 2. We're not giving up on anybody, that won a job 2 weeks ago. and chasing him out of town. He made mistakes. He was beat, and there was miscommunication. I mean, on the touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins, it looked like DeAndre Hopkins had been living. It was an Airbnb in the end zone, and it had a fence around it. No one else was allowed in because he was all by himself. And that is, I don't understand how that happens, but it happened to us. They were getting beat deep again. The times when it happened, you can't let that happen. So these are things where you got to see a safety make some strides at some point, but you got to give him a chance to make those strides. I don't think he's Reed Doughty. I know that's been something people have been saying. He's definitely better than Reed Doughty. And Reed Doughty played in the league for a long-ass time.
Physically, it's a man versus a boy.
Yeah.
Now, mentally, sorry, keep going, but I had to jump in there. Can I just go?
He's in a bad
sorry.
position.
Yeah, I think I got to blame Ken on this one. He gave him this awesome nickname after this awesome camp.
Yeah.
And you know what? Once again, perception versus reality. When you get a nickname like Shirka, you have to understand when your back's turned, it's all cheeks. If you're just wearing a T-shirt, from the backside, it's all cheeks. And Hogs Haven came out today and said Troy Apke played like some cheeks.
Yep.
Well, Ken, that stems from your preseason nickname due to camp. So I'd like to ask you, how are you going to fix this? Because you had to know if you're going to give him that nickname and he turns around, it's all cheeks.
Yeah, I'm not going to back away from Troy Apke. I'm not going to Troy.
I'm not ready to do that either.
I'm not going to take him backpee. I'm not going to take Shirtcock backpee. I think he has every opportunity to get better. And at the same time, Cameron Curl deserves to get time on this defense, deserves to be on the field. And guess what?
Yeah.
They can be on the field at the same time. Cameron Curl can be out there. Troy Apke can be out there. I'm looking for Landon Collins to figure something. To me, Landon Collins has to be part of the solution. It has to be Monday through Saturday.
Dude, he had 5 tackles, a sack, and an interception. I thought he had a good day.
No. I'm talking about with the other two.
Sure.
Giving them a chance to learn from him. What's that, T?
So Collins made a huge mistake on the first touchdown. That was his fault.
No doubt.
Right? Well, yeah, he made a huge blunder. He made up for it with other play, right? But that has been sort of a stigma of Collins even before he got here, right? That he's not great in coverage. And that has been, I think, a consistent criticism of him. Can't say that about Apke yet. I think he has the athleticism. I don't think it's a problem with athleticism or anything like that. He's out of position. His eyes aren't in the right spot. And then when he realizes it, it's too late. And he's been beat too many times. He has an opportunity to correct that. That's a correctable mistake.
Inexperience.
It's not a physical mistake. It's a mental mistake. It's a studying mistake. It's a I haven't done this enough in practice or seen it at this speed yet enough to know where I'm supposed to really be and where my eyes are supposed to be. Again, a young guy, inexperienced, who needs time to figure it out. Landon Collins, I don't give him as much of a break. He makes big mistakes like that maybe too often, and he's got to correct it, or else it is what it is.
I agree with Apke, but Collins is also trying to clean up a whole secondary at once. Sometimes you try and do too much at once. A lot's put on your plate, but this dude's a bad dude, and I never really believed in all the coverage stuff. That was him. That was his stuff coming out of college. Dude's been a Pro Bowler multiple times and a first-team All-Pro safety. If you're bad at coverage, you ain't first-team All-Pro. The guy can play. Yeah. He did make a mistake. Brutal. I loved his reaction. He blamed himself. He didn't do that like shout at someone to make it like, no, he put his head in his hands. He knew right away. And what did he do? Comes off the sidelines and makes the best play he's made as a Redskin. And that's how Ron Rivera does it. And that's how we did it against Philly. And I thought we had a chance right then and there. And then we didn't.
Well, let it be also made clear that if Troy Apke doesn't work out, then he doesn't work out. That's the beauty of a season like we have right now. It really truly is a luxury to be giving guys like Apke an opportunity to earn their way onto this field. Again, it's not so much about 2020 as much as it's about the team that Ron Rivera wants to have in year 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yep.
And as much as I think Shirtcock would be just a great addition to the legend of this defense, if he doesn't get there, he doesn't get there. And we'll be able to put someone else next to Landon Collins, somebody else behind these linebackers. What do you got, T?
Well, I disagree that it's not about 2020. I think it is about 2020, but it's not about the wins and losses in 2020 so much as.
And then we agree.
How much better do they get from week to week?
Yep, I think we're saying the same thing.
We're on the same page.
How less frequently does Apke find himself in a spot where he's going to lose 2 or 3 steps before he realizes he's supposed to be, somewhere else? If he can correct that from week to week, then we're talking. That's some good stuff. If it's something that's consistent and this gets ugly, then we're talking about something different in about 10 weeks.
All right, can I say a name?
Say a name.
I can't believe we haven't said it yet. I mean, Pierre Lewis was freaking everywhere.
That's why I
15 freaking tackles.
He's faster than I thought he was.
When was the last time a Redskin had 15 tackles? I don't
London
remember.
Fletcher, I think it was.
Had to be. I mean, who else could it possibly be?
Maybe Reed
Downey. Biggest surprise there.
Dude, how fast was he?
Yeah,
and how about
I didn't know he was that fast.
Play when he ran around? I mean, what a pickup. He cost a ham sandwich. That dude was everywhere.
They said that he was a guy that Del Rio and Rivera
targeted.
Because when they put out the depth chart and they had him at number 1, everyone's like, okay, what games are they playing?
Including me.
Yeah, what is Ron Rivera doing here? He's trying to give someone a little bit of dap. And then, good Lord, no, he belongs. He belongs with this defense. And again, it's another testament to how smart, athletic linebackers can capitalize on a defensive line like ours. For all of his shortcomings, Albert Hainsworth, when he was on the field, he made linebackers behind him better. And he was...
Are you certain of this?
I'm certain of this.
T?
All I'm saying is our linebackers have been deficient. We haven't played well at the linebacker level. We haven't been strong at the linebacker level, and it's been a bit of a shame because the last couple of years we actually have had very good tackles. Ioannidis has been there, Settle has been there, Payne and Allen have been there, Kerrigan's been there. So the idea that now we have 2 linebackers in Rivera and Del Rio heading up this defense, they get to handpick the guys, and they got to be in their faces saying, "Listen, did you know that you have 5 first-rounders in front of you? 4 on the field at any given time, plus Ioannidis, plus Tim Settle." Your job is easy. Be smart, trust your instincts, and be athletic in tight spaces and get to the ball. And that's what your boy Kev was up to on Sunday. And it was impressive.
Dude.
And Bostic too, for that matter.
Bostic has been a stud back-to-back weeks, second in the NFL in sacks, up there in tackles, another tackle for a loss. Obviously, well, he had a sack, but I last year he stood out to us. All 3 of us talked about Bostic in a season when there was not much to talk about. Those 2 guys doing it at the linebacker position is great. I think Jimmy Moreland is one of the better open field tacklers I've seen in the secondary in a while. Be really nice to get Kendall Fuller back healthy with this D. I think would help immensely. But the D got worn out. Kyler Murray's going to do this to people. It's an interesting way of playing. When they were speeding it up against us, I was like, man, the game's over. Run the clock. They do what they do. I was really hoping they'd give us an opportunity, but, we're not ready for that opportunity yet. We're not just going to come back from behind 17-20 on the road in Arizona after we talked about it, T and Ken, flying out there with a young team. Like, we weren't ready for that. We pulled that crap out 2 weeks ago by the skin of our Rivera, and that's it. He did that with experience, passion, patience, heart, and he just willed it to happen on that sidelines. That ain't happening, across the country on a road trip.
It's going to be happening in Cleveland on Sunday. So before we get out of here tonight, we got to talk a little bit about the upcoming matchup. T, I'll start with you. We've had a chance to see Cleveland up close and personal a little bit. Certainly got our fair share of Baker Mayfield commercials.